What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today we have the review on the Positive Grid Spark 2. We're going to do this a little differently than we normally do. As you may be aware if you follow this channel, and if you don't, do me a favor and hit the subscribe button and the like button. I typically am not a big spec freak. I just kind of look at application and how you use something and figure out how useful it is and the various use cases and you know, should you buy this thing based on how you use things. The thing is with this thing though, the specs kind of are important because it makes a difference whether you should buy the thing or not. So we're going to run through, I've made a list. We're going to run through specifically the specifications on this thing, how they differ from the old one. And then what we're going to do is we're going to play it, hear it, and I'm going to give you some thoughts on whether I think you should buy this one, buy the old one, or keep the old one if you already have it. Should you upgrade? Who this is for? And then I'm going to tell you what my favorite Positive Grid product is and why. So here we have a list of specs. Now, this is going to sound a little dry, but I think it's really important. First of all, this one is 50 watts instead of the old one, which is 40 watts. The bass reflex speaker arrangement in this is a huge upgrade to the old one, okay? So if you play this thing in the room, it's way better. It's going to be something that it's going to be difficult for me to translate through the internet, but I'm telling you, these two 4-inch drivers with this bass reflex deal, with the way the speakers are arranged in here on an angle, it sounds so much better in the room than the old one. And it also is louder, definitely louder. It has a 60-second looper. Now, the way the 60-second looper works, there's a couple of different modes. One, you hit a button and it counts in 4, and then it just goes until the preset time, like you can set it how long you want it to go, is up. The other way is that it senses signal from your guitar. So you start playing and the looper starts, and then you tap a button to stop recording. Both of those are a little cumbersome when you are playing because you have to like stop what you're doing and press a button. If you had the foot switch that goes with this stuff, that might make that a little bit easier. So I just want to mention that. I'm not a big looper guy, so you're not going to see a super comprehensive review of the looper section of this in this video. I'll tell you that right now because I'm just not a big looper guy. There's going to be a lot of folks probably that do videos and really are really good at that. I'm just not good at that. It has 8 presets in the amp. The old one had 4. So that's pretty cool. We'll get into the app here in a couple of minutes. 33 amplifiers for electric, acoustic, and bass. A lot of folks ask about the bass side of this thing. It works well. 43 effects, very similar to all of the other Positive Grid amplifiers that we've used up to this point. And if you're just now getting into Positive Grid stuff, I'll show you that in the app in a minute. It's got a headphone jack, so we'll talk about inputs. It's got a headphone jack output. It's got a guitar input. It's got an 1/8 inch input, so you can like plug a secondary, you could plug a phone into it. You could plug, an iPod if you're vintage, whatever you want to do. It's got 2 1/4 inch line outs. That's important. I love that because that's stereo and mono line out recording that you can then go to an interface or a mixing board or whatever you want and be able to record line out, which is really cool. It also has a USB-C out, which is probably what I'm going to use when I show you this. I'm just going to go straight into my MacBook Pro and I'm going to record with the USB. So that's probably what you're going to hear today when we play this thing. One downside to this thing, it's very similar to the old one. It's got a 20 volt DC out power supply, which is this big block thing that sits on the floor, and I hate it. I do not like when companies put an external block type of power, like a laptop, where the cord comes and then it's a block and then another cord and then it goes into here. That drives me nuts. Why can't you integrate that somehow so that it's just a cable? Or even a wall wart is better. I don't know. I just don't like that. It also has the ability to have a 6,000 milliamp battery go into the bottom of it. This is the same battery that is used in the Positive Grid Live, which is the bigger cabinet. Allegedly, because it's not included, it's 79 bucks. You got to buy it separately. 12 hours of playtime at half volume, which to be honest with you, half volume in most practice spaces is freaking loud. So that's pretty cool. 12 hours at half volume, 3 hours to completely charge it. So besides all the actual knobs, you can see the knobs. We'll show B-roll of the knobs. It's just normal amp stuff. Besides the presets. So if we just go over it here, we've got battery power, which we're not using right now. We've got a Bluetooth button for pairing it to your phone. We've got Wi-Fi. We also have our looper buttons up here. We have a tap that's used for a few different things, but delay would be one of them. And then we've got preset selection, gain, bass, mid, treble, master. The gain and the master are very similar to a normal amp where you have your preamp volume is your gain and your power amp volume is your master. Modulation, delay, reverb, music is going to be the overall volume of any second input. So if you put an 1/8 inch input into this, like with a phone, that's going to control that. Okay. It's also going to control that if you Bluetooth it to here too. So like if you Bluetooth a YouTube video to play along with it through the app or whatever, the music knob is going to control that volume. And then the guitar knob is going to control the overall global volume of the guitar itself. So you can do the guitar and the music separately, which is pretty cool. It comes with a strap that I did not put on here because this amp does not belong to me. This amp belongs to a Patreon member, patreon.com/DylanTalksTone, who sent this to me directly from Positive Grid. He hasn't even seen it yet. He's allowing me to borrow it for a few days while we do the review. I've had it for about a week now, so I'm trying to get this done so I can send it to him because I know he's chomping at the bit for it. So thank you for letting me do that. That's why you don't see the strap on here. That's why I'm trying to be nice to it so we can put it back in the box for him so he can have his own unboxing experience. All right, so you heard it. It sounds awesome. It's fun. In the room, it sounds really good. It sounds way better than the other one. This is one of those things where we could do comparisons, but it all comes down to what you listen to it on the internet, phone or whatever you're using, and microphone choice and placement and all that stuff. So we're not going to get into all that. I will just tell you that weird bassiness that it used to have is basically gone. It sounds way better. So the question is, should you upgrade to this thing? If you have a Positive Grid normal 40 watt and you want to gig it at like a coffee shop or something, then definitely I would recommend this because it sounds better. The speakers are better, everything is better. The interface is basically the same, okay? Obviously, if you want a looper, you have to get this one. The portability of the battery is very, very, very appealing to me. However, if portability is really a thing, then the Positive Grid Mini, to me, is the one still, because that thing's big. They have about the same battery life. Does that one sound better than this one? I guess if you're gonna play louder, like, so if you're gonna play way louder, then yes, this does. If you're gonna play at this volume right here, where we're just kind of like sitting here and it's just me and you and we're kind of jamming, you've got an acoustic and I've got this and we're in the living room or whatever, then I don't think it really matters that much. It does sound smaller, but remember that we're dealing with practice amps here. So I think, personally for me, because of how I use this, I take this in the van with me when we travel. I take this thing everywhere. And so I still will probably default to this one as opposed to this one. If you are going to have a spot in your house, let's say this fits perfectly under your coffee table, or it fits somewhere or on your desk, and you're gonna use it like that, and it's gonna be awesome, and it's gonna work perfectly for that. I don't know if I would use it as a portable thing unless I was using it in a coffee shop as a gigging sort of situation. That being said, because of what it is limited there. So you just kind of have to weigh that. When I first got it out of the box, my first impressions were not super awesome. I thought, whatever, it's a new one with different knobs, it sounds a little better. It's still kind of dumb in my opinion, and I would rather have the Positive Grid Mini. After spending some time with it, I will tell you that it is so much better that I really actually do like it. My use case though is this right here. I don't show you this very often, but typically when we record stuff, my laptop is here, USB typically coming from my Focusrite system and my Kemper, but instead I just have the normal USB-C cable going from here into my laptop into GarageBand, and that's what we recorded all the sounds you just heard with. Super easy, recognizes it, you don't have to worry about anything. It's very easy. I just have one of our exclusive Runway audio cables that you can get at Dylan Talks Tone, and plugged in, and I just played, and it's just awesome. So I really, really like that a lot. The interface, as far as that is concerned, is pretty awesome. Okay, now let's talk about this. This is one of those things where many of you who are more traditional amp users would be like, I can't stand all the fiddling. I don't want to fiddle with all this stuff. It just seems super annoying. I agree with you. I am not a person who likes everything to be in an app, but that is the way of 2024. So what I would say about this is 8 presets is definitely enough. Personally, I'm okay with 4. I have 4 on my Positive Grid Mini, and it's fine. So here's how I use this. I don't go in here and constantly fiddle with things. What I do is I get 3 or 4 sounds that I really like for different guitars. So, if I've got my Les Paul, or if I've got my my P90 guitar, my Texas Toast, or I've got the Strat, or I've got whatever, I've got a few presets set up for a couple of different guitars that I typically default to. For me, it's pickup types, so P90s, humbuckers, single coils, like that. I spend the time, takes about an hour probably, to fiddle around and get a couple of sounds that I like. And then I save them as presets, and I never ever touch them again. This is not an amp that I'm building tones with. This is not an amp that I am like trying to find my next inspiring sound with. This is a practice amp. I think if you use this for the purpose that it was intended, at least in my mind, it's a practice amp. You practice with it. You play around the house with it. Maybe you use it as a gig amp at a coffee shop or something. Maybe. I still wouldn't. If it was me, I would take my Princeton. But anyway, this is for practicing. It is not to replace your Plexi. It is not to replace your 65 Black Panel Deluxe. It is not to replace any of that stuff. It's not supposed to be as good as that. It is not supposed to be as good as a Kemper. It is not supposed to be as good as any of those things. It is a practice amp. If you set your expectations correctly, this thing will be a very useful tool and it will sound awesome. It does sound awesome. Remember, it's under 300 bucks, okay? And so if you set your expectations correctly and use it for what it was intended for, I think you really, really like it. I'm not going to buy one because I don't need it. I have that Positive Grid Mini and I really like it and it's fine with me. Because remember that once you plug it into a computer, they all sound the same. That's mostly how I use mine. So, it's just kind of how you use it. Let me know in the comments if you have a Positive Grid normal 40 watt and you want to upgrade to this. Are you thinking you still will, or are you putting it off? If you don't have any of this stuff practice amp wise, does the Positive Grid 2 make you consider getting one now? Or does this make you consider getting one of the smaller ones, because of portability wise? Let me know in the comments what you think. There is a link in the description to this and all of the other Positive Grid stuff. It is an affiliate link. We do have an affiliate program with Positive Grid. It does help out the channel. It doesn't cost you anything. I would recommend checking it though, because sometimes they'll have little specials and stuff that they send me that attach to my code. So sometimes you'll get a little discount or whatever. So check it anyway, if you're interested in this thing. And let me know what you think. I think it's neat. I don't want it, but I think it's very good and I think it's very neat. Thanks for hanging out. Make sure you hit the subscribe button and the like button and all the other things that you do when you watch YouTube. Use the affiliate links below. Help support the channel. Patreon.com/DylanTalksTone. Instagram, Dylan Talks Tone. All the Dylan Talks Tone stuff all over the internets to find us. And we will see you in the next video. Oh, also, I was using all my own pickups today. So check out Dylan Talks Tone for your pickups. You can sound like that. Or probably better, because you probably play better than me. We'll see you in the next video.